Now, I've talked to you about using different genres, impressionism and realism mixed together. I do this to to evoke an emotion from people. This particular painting is Old Hickory is Still Standing. I love the texture of old shaggy bark hickory trees. That's what this is all about right here, is that shaggy bark has a wonderful texture to it. I also like fall in Kentucky. The fall colors are just absolutely wonderful, and the mountain ranges almost turn this purplish blue background. Now, this particular painting is done with that favorite brush of mine. One of my favorite brushes is the Broomstraw Brush. All of these leaves in here are done with the Broomstraw Brush. Even these small blades of grass in the sunlight, the line of sunlight across, are done with the Broomstraw Brush. So what I'm going to do is actually show you how to make one. If you can't make one, email me. I'll make one for you. They're really fun. This is a bunch of broom straw out of an old broom. You just take a bundle of it, good size handful of it. Little spool of wire. That ought to be enough. First thing you do is get you a good stable tie on it, and then tie off the end of the wire. Just twist it around to where it's good and tight. Then you can start your wrapping. And basically all you're doing is just making a very small little broom. When you get down to the end of it, you want to create a loop. Take your wire, go through the loop, maybe a couple of times. And then pull it through. Like so. That'll tie off the end of your rope, of your wire. And if you want to, you can take the end of that wire, stick it up through your wrapping of the wire, like so. Just gives it a clean, finished look. Okay, now since you got that, you can take this end right here, just kind of cut it off. I use actually rose clippers to do that. So now you want to go out about 8 inches or so. Take about 8 inches of it, hold it tight together, take those same rose clippers and just whack it off square. Now, you know, the old adage of when in doubt, duct tape it. That comes in pretty handy. So what you want to do now is just basically cap this off. You can bend the tape around it, start it out at an angle, wrapping your wire nice and snug. It's not the prettiest brush, but as far as I know, we're not in a fashion contest either. So now you have a broomstraw brush. You can take this brush, when you dip it into the paint, as you've seen on the video, dip it into the paint and you can do multiple colors of paint, and when you hit it on the canvas, it makes a glob and a little tail, a glob and a little tail, making wonderful trees. Now when you do the trees, I like to start with the shadowy edge of the bottom, the back shadow part of the tree, and come back to the highlights of the tree. In this case over here, I started out with a dark green, come into a medium green, then a brighter green, then laid some yellow ochre and some orange and red oxide into them. On the grass, so you can take it, drag it through the paint, the bright yellow and green, and you just take it like a snare drum and whack it as if you were playing the snare drum, and you'll get grass. So this is how to make a broomstraw brush. Like I say, if you can't make one from how I've shown you, just email me. I'll send you one. They're fun to play with. So that's the broomstraw brush. And using different genres, like I said, this back here is very impressionistic. This is all impressionistic, very loosely done. And right next to it is all of the script brush work on the getting the very texture of the old hickory bark. So we're mixing impressionism and realism together there, which is an absolute faux pas. Faux pas for everybody. The next one is called red oak. This is almost Oriental style. I believe it's more Oriental than anything else. The whole background is just diffused streaks of color. Then a lot of script work with all the little branches, and then all of these leaves and the bottom and everything else are done with as I told you before, I was going to show you how to make rocks. Well, you can make leaves with these also. These are just long handled round tip brushes. Now what you do with this to get this effect basically is wet your palette to get a good consistency, not too thick, not too runny. Wet your brush just the tip end of it. The rest of it needs to be dry. And just as you were using the snare drum effect, what you want to do is take this long brush, index finger and thumb, and just put about a 45-degree angle on it and bounce it. Bounce it off of the canvas, and you will get all of these leaves, every one of them. It's so much fun to play with. Just use the resilience of the bristles itself to bounce it off of the canvas. At a point that I'd say that's 45-degree angle from here. So you're just bouncing it. You can do multiple colors of paint on your brush, or you can go in and touch them, and go in later and drop a shadow if you like. But the round tip brush is a fun brush to play with. The rest of this is done